What a day. Hello, friends. Welcome to Live with Lava Sub. Your, what am I? I'm a goofball. Rabble rouser, an artist, a musician, actor. I don't do anything good, is what I'm trying to say. I am simply here to add to our ongoing narrative that exists in the world that we all participate in. And yeah, that's me. That's what I do. It's just a very casual day for me today. I'm just doodling away on something totally fresh. Not really thinking too much about it. Here to conversate if you guys want to conversate. But you can also just mellow. And there is no pressure. That's what I like. Is no pressure. Mellow stuff. Hanging out. Yeah, it's a little less hectic than last week, where I had therapy and then went right into the live stream basically moments after. But still an interesting day. Tuesdays are always a little bit chaotic. We have like production meeting that day for the channel, and we talk about a lot of stuff that is going up this week. And yeah, I mean, we've got a lot going on this week. Right now we're doing this, of course, but tomorrow we've got Sam's live stream. Sam's doing this map stream for, I think there's 3 or 4 episodes available. You can check them out on our YouTube. And we're building, Sam is essentially building a world with the audience. It's a really wonderful thing. I've been lucky enough to have the opportunity to participate a couple of times, and it's been a really wonderful kind of community that's kind of popping up there. Definitely, if you are a creative and like the idea of building a world collaboratively with other people, I highly recommend you check it out. Tomorrow, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Sam's going to be talking about building a landmark and a encounter for that landmark. So that'll be a really interesting one. I'm curious to see what everyone's input will be for that episode, because it's definitely an interesting topic when it comes to role-playing games. Like, what does an encounter look like to you, you know? I often, in playing D&D and other tabletop role-playing games, tend to be the one that wants to solve conflicts peacefully. Sometimes to mine and my party's detriment, to be honest. Gotten myself and my characters in more hot water than I think I'd like to admit, but you know, that's just my personality coming out in the game. That's how I like solving conflicts as a person, non-violently, with a peaceful resolution that benefits not just every party involved in the conflict, but will hopefully provide some kind of insight in the greater communities we all inhabit, you know? Conflict resolution or similar kind of skills. Well, it's hard to overstate just how important they are, especially if you watch the news. Should, you know, totally understand if you don't. No judgment here, that's for sure. Oh, geez, yeah, I totally got off my own track here. Yeah, I was talking about what we've got going on for Nerdcrafty this week, and what we were talking about production meeting is a really interesting one, because I don't know if y'all are keyed into this specifically, but it's Tabletop Day on the 4th of next month. Tabletop Day is like a day that just wants to celebrate the community and the idea of tabletop role-playing games, which, you know, I think is really lovely, especially because the community aspect and the idea of being part of something bigger than oneself is something that I think is appealing to just about everybody. And I think that the tabletop role-playing community has done... there's still a long way to go, but I feel like the tabletop role-playing community has done a lot to try and make its space safer for all people, and not just a certain subsect of society that tends to be overserved anyway. And so, yeah, I like to imagine that I'm hopefully part of a that progressive movement within the community to try and make people feel like, you know, no matter who you are, you can participate, even if it doesn't feel like it. I think there's a lot of really wonderful people you can find on social media who do their own home brews to address a lot of the kind of social concerns you might see popping up. And I highly recommend you if you are hesitant to if you're hesitant to with change, if the idea that things changing might be scary for you, that's a totally human reaction.
Yeah, big shout out to my mother.
You know, I don't want you to feel like
I would have never learned about Gina Davis.
Like you're not able to voice your own concerns. But I think it's important, it's just as important to be aware of your own biases and to listen to people that, by and large, in the history of not just like gaming, but in our society as well, you take the time to listen to voices that maybe you haven't heard before. Because a fresh perspective can do one hell of a lot, not just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of others. And I think that's something that really draws a lot of people in, the idea that nobody wants to hurt anybody, you know? No one wants to be part of a community that is spiteful or out to do harm. I think everybody wants the world to be a better place. The trouble is we live in a fairly uncomfortable world for many of us. And that's for a number of reasons that I don't think we need to get into right now. Oh, hey, thanks for dropping by. We were just talking about Tabletop Day, and I was encouraging everyone to seek out fresh perspectives from the tabletop role-playing community. There's a lot of places, like I found quite a few people through TikTok who are very who play very progressive games, or have homebrewed their own ways around some of the troubling aspects of the rules as written, which we've seen the greater community address as well, by and large because of these grassroots and homebrew people who've taken their time to try and change up the dynamics of how the tabletop role-playing community interacts with people, with more marginalized folks. Yeah, I'm a big fan. And yeah, I'm also drawing, I guess. I don't really know what I'm doing. If you have any crazy ideas, let me know. I'm having a wild one. I want to do something. I want to do something a little nutty, a little goofy. I'm not sure what yet, though. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just, for now, use a really funky big brush. Just slap some color on a canvas. That is a joyous activity. Just start a freshie. I like this. Yeah. Nice bright color. I love a bright color on a dark background. Ooh, spooky. So scary face. Let's lean into that. Yeah, let's keep going. Keep going with this. Oh, right. So we've got Tabletop Day. We're going to be participating in the 4th of next month, right at the beginning of the month. It's a big day, big celebration of the tabletop role-playing community. We're all really excited. We've got a bunch of stuff planned, from one shot for the Iron Hearts. It's called the Iron Carts. And if you know me and the rest of the group, especially if you know us personally, you know that we're all big fans of the Mario Karts. And that is, I think, by and large, a big part of Zach's inspiration for this game, where we're kind of playing a tabletop role-playing version of both our campaign and Mario Kart, somewhere meeting in the making a hybrid of it. Meeting it in the middle, essentially. And yeah, it's gonna be a blast. Shane, one of our regular players, is also going to be running a one-shot dungeon crawl. That's going to be absolutely wild. I've played a few games with Shane, and Shane brings something very different to the table than what Zach tends to bring. And yeah, it'll be an interesting change of pace. You'll have to let us know what you think. We're also going to be discussing some interesting topics, especially if you are a big player, if you're a DM, you're really going to want to be there. For some of these conversations we're having, we're going to be approaching how to characterize and make a deeper character from out of your role-playing character, you know? I think everyone in our group really gets into the spirit of the role-playing aspect of D&D. Their characters are big. They make big choices with them. And most of us, I think, trying to think if any... Yeah, I think most of the game, most of our play group, all did theater in the same high school. And with the same group of people. So, and if we didn't, we all made... if they weren't directly involved in the theater that we were all in high school, they were helping us make movies in our off time. So we all did that as well. Our DM, Zach, had a little camcorder, and we would just make whatever movies we wanted. It was the best of times. Truly. One of those things that's hard to replicate, hard to replace, you know? A regular place to test ideas and have fun, you know, with the idea, the art of making film, and that experimental, free kind of nature is always going to be a part of my art aesthetic, or my artistic output. You know, that idea that you can make anything you put your mind to. You know, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter, you know, if you could get it in Sundance or whatever, you know. It's about making art, man. It's about just doing it. And making it with people that you care about. Making it with people that that help you, that you both, that is, it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a mutually beneficial collaboration. You both have things to offer, scenario, the project that, you know, maybe the other wouldn't have thought of. Everyone has their role to play, as it were. But yeah, that idea of embracing things that you never would have thought of, and collaborating in a way that feels free and freeing for you as well. That's what it's about for me. I mean, I guess that falls into where I kind of come from, like, as well as like this big creative community that we were all establishing as teenagers. We were also, you know, most of us going regularly to punk shows in our local community punk scene. And this was back when we all lived in Redding, California, a little rural community I've talked a little bit about on stream before, but it was a really necessary thing, and it definitely will always be a big part of the influence in my artistic output. That is terrifying. Let's move on. Oh, yeah. A huge shout out to Moonsick. This is a band that, I mean, the singer and bassist are some of my oldest friends, dear friends, and we once were in a band together, even, long ago in the old 2000s. And yeah, that was one of my first bands, called Me and the Misses. I don't think you can actually find it on the internet. But they went on to continue. I mean, we all went on to continue playing in different bands, playing shows together as in support of each other. and eventually they formed Moonsick, which is like imagine punk, but science fiction. That's my friends. They make incredible music, and that's what you're listening to right now. If you enjoy it, go check them out on Bandcamp. I'm sure they would. It's Bandcamp, so you get to pay what you want. But I'm sure they would appreciate a little bit of mun-muns if you have it to spare. Go drop some ducats for the homies, letting you listen to their music, letting us play their music without more than just an agreement, that we're gonna hype them up, and we definitely ought to, because this is what they sound like, and this is their first recording. They put out this album a couple of years ago with their first guitarist, who has since moved on to other bands. Really talented guy, Nick Escovedo, and they recently found a new guitarist within the last year or so, who has who they've written essentially quite a bit more music with, and they are in the process of putting out those albums as we speak, recording and all of that stuff. So definitely keep an eye out for new music in the next little bit here, because they have it coming, and oh man, they are just getting started. So if you like this, you're gonna love what you hear next. Huh. Guess I'm feeling more. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, I tried doing something like this last week. Got frustrated fairly quickly. Let's give it another shot. I'm gonna go in with my favorite brush and try and do a little seascape in black and white. What I want to do first, though, is lay out a nice hard horizon line. We don't have to even keep it. I just want to lay it out. Oh, that is much too large for what I want to do at the moment. Oh, yeah, let's put it out further. Let's put it out in the top third. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Even make this a little less strong. Hue. Let's make the brush just a bit smaller even. Yeah. There we go. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just doing some little clouds here. Just laying in. I love. I'm probably gonna cover. Probably gonna cover all of this up. But I'm gonna lay in a bunch of tiny little clouds in the far distance. We might catch some of them in the finished product, but probably not. But you see how that's kind of effective in highlighting that hard line I've already put in. So now we're gonna go a bit bigger. Learn from Bob Ross. When it comes to clouds, keep your brushstroke motion consistent. Clouds are lighter than, or one of the weight of a cloud feels like nothing, and you want to kind of use that as a guide when you're drawing them or painting them. I don't know where I would be without Bob Ross and his incredible instruction. My producer Samantha it makes an interesting comment that I could, I think you could make an argument that I'm like a punk Bob Ross, but I might argue that Bob Ross was already a punk. If you know much about Bob Ross, you know that Bob was not necessarily a big rule follower, authority guy. Bob was the kind of hippie that I would actually have a really good conversation with. And I, as a punk, don't necessarily have the greatest history of conversations with hippies. I don't know if you're, all aware of all of that history of interesting conflict, but what I think a lot of people on either side of that argument tend to miss is how hippies was kind of punks. Look at the Grateful Dead, for example. I think the Grateful Dead and their model for putting on shows, doing it independently, all of this stuff is essentially the model for what punk would do years later. Of course, punk would do it their own way, their own aesthetic values and belief systems, ethics, ethos, or whatever you want to call it. But both, if you think about it in a musical history way, if you think about the history of both, well, I guess you have to get deeper into the history of social movements and art that went along with those social movements. And punk, despite what some very dishonest, bad faith debaters might have you believe, will always have been started as a very left-leaning ethics. The idea that you aren't depending on giant corporations to put out your albums. The idea that you can do it yourself. You can promote your shows. You can put your shows on. You can tour yourself without corporate funding, without the troubles that come with all of that. The idea that you aren't going to be beholden to capital is inherently very left-wing. And if you don't know that, I don't know what to say to you. You are wrong. Is I think the best way I can put that. There are plenty of really terrible people that have co-opted or tried to exploit punk music. And what punk has very effectively done is told those people that their opinions don't really matter, and we don't care. We will not be oppressed. We will not stand for it. And as Joe Biafra put it, Nazi punks, fuck off. And yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about that. Oh, right, because Bob Ross, yeah. So I guess the interesting thing is that Bob Ross started his art career effectively while he had been stationed in Alaska in the service. And I don't know if you're I don't know if this is still like a pop cultural reference, but being put into service in Alaska is like one of those cultural landmark jokes that was a part of like my childhood. You would hear it over and over again in like, especially older cartoons. Like, God, I think there's like Bugs Bunny bits and stuff about it. Either way, um, yeah, the whole stationed in Alaska thing. I think it had a interesting impact on Bob Ross. This idea of how he perceived his time in the service. And I think what's really interesting is that that's, he had a lot of free time to paint. And he utilized that free time to do exactly that while he was in the service. Um, it may be one of the only contributions to culture from the U.S. military that I really value. Um, uh, and yeah, so yeah, Bob Ross, kind of a punk, just like most hippies, except for really weird ones that exist as a exception to what was. Well, I guess at this point, hippies are, many of them moved on from social movements, but we do see uh, radicalism alive and strong, and some of the people that were there back when it was going on and are still in our culture today, like Susan Sarandon or uh, Jane Fonda, um, and that gives me hope. You know, uh, I'm not like 100% in agreement with everything I either say, but the fact that they're not silent, I think, says a lot about where they really stand, where their values are. Because we see a lot of people who utilize progressive movements to give themselves more social capital, profiting off them, exploiting the social movements even. Um, we hate to see that. And you can tell when it's genuine, when it's consistent. Oh. Huh. Oh, oh, right. I can't navigate away. I was gonna say you might want to try. I think they have a YouTube that they have quite a bit of music on as well. But yeah, no pressure to track that down, Sam. Thank you for that heads up. No, yeah, no pressure. Take your time. Yeah, so if the music just ran out, you guys are like, what happened? That's evidently Bandcamp has some kind of weird artificial limit on how much we can listen to or something. Um, so yeah, our apologies, but we'll work something out soon. So now I'm cheating. I love cheating. Cheating is the best. I'm just using a line tool to lay out some random shapes because I don't know if you encounter this in your art, if you like to do it, but water is one of those things that is just absolutely random, and trying to create some kind of exactness with it is absolutely maddening unless you embrace the chaos. Become the chaos. Become, be the chaos you see in the world, or you want to see in the world. Okay. You know what? I'm going to see what that looks like in the clouds too, because... Oh, no. Too much. Too much. Too much. Too much. You know what I want to do, though? It does give me an idea. Let's crank this all the way down. Yeah, let's see what that looks like. Oh, wait. Okay. Yes. Maybe. Let's see. Ah, okay. Let's do that again. Selectively. You see that? I think we've got a little sea storm going here. Let's try a new layer here. Let's see if we can get the underlayer to really act up. I'm gonna start off. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna stick with white for now. I'm gonna use a smaller brush. Oh, yes, we're gonna use that same brush, much smaller, much bigger flow and strength on the separate layer. Now we're gonna use those lines to draw down. So we're on the fresh layer. Ooh, too much. Let's crank it down just a bit, the strength, but increase or keep the flow where I want it. Still a little too much. Maybe. Let's see. Oh, geez. I guess want to say hi to everyone who's joined us recently. I'm sorry, I don't. What you see is my screen, so I don't necessarily have like a fundamental awareness of where everyone's at. But my absolutely wonderful producer Sam has let me know we've got some people here, so I want to say hi. Uh, thank you for showing up. I am just drawing in a little seascape and chatting about what we've got going on at Nerdcraft. Please, if you have any questions about the art or even requests about for art for me to do, I am more than happy to accommodate. But yeah, thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Just I got inspired by what I was doing, just by some accidental stuff that was happening on the canvas. So I am starting to turn this basic seascape into a bit of a sea storm. I'm gonna use a bigger brush. I think that's part of the issue I'm coming up against. Also, I want to keep the angle consistent. I am having a heck of a time doing that, so I'm just gonna cheat in this little ruler tool. We're gonna use that to guide my lines so that they stay consistent, so that the lines that I am using to imply some precipitation are consistent. Because even with some inconsistencies in precipitation or in rainfall, you notice that it does tend to follow the path of the wind. Obviously, the rain is very light. If you're in a storm, you're going to have some pretty heavy wind. Anyway, I'm just talking about weather now. Oh, you know what I want to do? I'm going to dupe this layer. I'm going to draw on that. See if we can't make this even more dramatic. Yeah, okay. The issue will eventually become that it's become too contrasty, but we can work that out with some fancy tools. I love digital art because it's got an answer for everything that I wouldn't have an answer for if I was still doing just traditional stuff. Even this this program, which is, you know, free and very approachable, easy to use. Doesn't have like all of the fancy stuff that you would get through like one of the higher end drawing apps or whatnot, but does the job for me pretty damn well. Okay, so like I said, very contrasty, even being the bottom layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and decrease the opacity, see if that helps. And it doesn't, not really, not in a significant way. So what I'm going to do is instead start using that same tool that I was using to draw the precipitation lines down, to pull the negative space out up. And that's going to give me a much cleaner image. You'll know where the clouds are, you'll know where it's at. Hopefully I won't get rid of everything. If I do, that's okay. I actually have another tool I'm going to switch to and help bring some of that back. Wow, so that's what we have left. You can see what I mean. Very dramatic changes. Oh, you know what I can do? I'm actually going to do that with the first layer I did of the precipitation. Let's see what that looks like. No. Yeah, it's still pretty heavy. Let's yeah. Yeah. Oh, right. Back. Let's turn that down just a hair. Yeah, that's it. Oh, do you love it? I love it. I got it at Ross. Not a sponsor. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, we're still a little too heavy, but check this out. Let's see if I can make it change. Yeah, that's it. Okay. 11? Oh, okay. Maybe I'm not there yet. Let's hide that for a second. Focus on this layer. Okay, that's it. We're at 50%, 54. Let's bring this back in. We're at, oh, right there, 35. Okay. Yes, do you see what I'm talking about? Okay. Oh, man. So what we have some clouds, we have some rain, we have some very, very flat water. But this is not a flat water scenario, is it? This is a big water scenario with lots of waves, lots of turbulence in the ocean, and we need to fix that. We need to make that pop. And how do we do that? How do I want to affect it? Well, what I'm first going to do, I'm going to start another new layer. So we're 4 layers deep now, and that's okay. But it's the top layer I'm changing. So we have our previous top layer is what we're looking at. The clouds and a little bit of that precipitation I started putting in before I started adding layers. But I want to accentuate the highlights we've already got. Use those as a guide. And you can see this big line here. Will almost be acting as like the the foremost wave. I guess the question is, are we out at sea looking at shore, or are we on shore looking out at sea? Which way is the wave coming? Away from us or towards us? For some reason, I tend to go away. The wave's going away from us. I don't know why. It's just how I started building up habits. So I think I want to try and change up there. And what that's going to mean is that this is essentially where the highlight is going to sit. A highlight is going to need a lot more shadow as a contrast going into it to really show you that the ocean that's that happened really fast. Okay, we're close. That's not it, but we're close. Do we fix the music sitch? Oh, it's no pressure. I was just curious. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to a little bit smaller brush because I really want to let you know these waves are large, are coming in at you, and what that's gonna require is bringing that element of shadow into just under the highlight, to let you know that this is a big wave. This is coming directly at you. You know what? I'm going to switch to less strength. Yeah. Okay. So you see when I go over it with over the really dark parts with the white, how it starts bringing you in, and you start seeing it coming more close, more at you than away from you. We're of course still in early stages here, but it's that contrast of light and dark that I'm trying to draw your attention to. Pardon the pun. Unintentional. Unintentional, but I did highlight it, so. Thank you, Sam. Music should be coming back rather shortly, folks, so I again want to just say thank you to Moonsick, my good buddies, for letting me use their music for stream today. You can find them on Bandcamp, on YouTube, on Instagram, and we have the links to their, I believe their Instagram, or their Instagram and their Bandcamp available. So use those links. Let them know you love them. So, anybody in the chat, you guys have any projects you're working on? Let me know. I'm curious. Feel free, don't be afraid to hype yourself in projects. I'm asking, so. What are you working on today? Or this month? Or this year? You just pick up drawing? You just, are you working on a big project? I'm curious. I want to know. Oh. Yes. Yeah. The homie Shane, working on some projects. I love it. Yeah, I'm excited to play in that dungeon crawl, my friend. Who doesn't love a good dungeon crawl? Okay, we have music back. I'm gonna quickly run to the restroom. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. Whew. So, Shane's working on the dungeon crawl and some stuff for tabletop day. That's exciting. Can't wait, buddy. You always bring a unique perspective to our discussions. Ooh, what am I doing? Oh, right, I haven't started. Okay, alright, well, we're gonna change this. You want more shadow? Push it over to here. We're gonna push this whole wave back just a bit. It's gotten a little bit ahead of itself. And that's okay. It's not what I want to do. Whoopsie. There, that line is much more the kind of thing I am trying to do right now. Okay. Don't want the big old brush anymore. We want to start. Oh yeah, gotta. Let's bring this all the way down to 6. Let's see what that looks like. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. So composition's gotten really interesting. We do have it broken up into thirds, even though I wasn't necessarily intending that to happen exactly like this. But you can see the top layers, the top third is cloud cover, the middle third is the what will be the ocean, and the bottom third is this big wave. And that's just like a general composition is thirds to draw the eye to different places. It's something that, in this case, you notice is so natural, I guess foundational even, that you don't even notice when you're doing it sometimes, like what just happened in my case, where I totally forgot I was even doing this mid-drawing. So little trick for composition, if you're ever wondering how to make your compelling. You know, think about I mean, really don't get trapped into thinking about, well, it has to look this way, it has to be, you know, there's so many different ways to use composition to tell us what you're trying to say with your piece, than just using thirds. You know, use whatever inspiration, well, whatever inspires you, you know? I mean, I don't know if you're like me, but I watch a lot of movies. I'm a big ol' movie nerd. And yeah, it's been a big part of what helps me, a big part of like helping me think about composition, and how I want an image to look, and not only that, but how that can affect me. I think I think one of the most common examples of how to give you a non-traditional composition, give an audience a non-traditional composition, but still let them know where the figure of the piece is at emotionally is in Taxi Driver. Martin Scorsese's 1978 classic. He tries to tell us where Travis Bickle, the protagonist, is at several times through the course of the film. That this is a man who is going through a lot and isn't necessarily dealing with it in the healthiest of ways. When he makes a fatal faux pas on his date early on in the picture, he tries to contact the woman he had made this mistake with and try and fix things, in an act of what is essentially desperation, and to let us know that not only is this conversation not going well, but it's going so badly it's embarrassing. Scorsese has the camera directs the camera completely off of our figure, our character, our protagonist, in this case.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Looking down an empty hallway instead. It's so embarrassing you can't look at it. Travis wouldn't want you to see him this way. It's a really interesting way to tell us who the character is, without them being even on screen for the predominant, the majority of the shot. So yeah, there's any number of ways to compose an image. Never get trapped into believing there's just one, where you have to do it this way or that way because this person or that person does it. Do what you want. Tell your story the way you need to tell it. Switch into a little blender brush. Kind of dissatisfied with how these waves are coming along, so I'm just going to see what I can do with this instead. Probably time to move on. Focus on something else so I can come back to this later with a little bit clearer mind and idea. But if you know me, you know I can't help but try and fix things I cannot fix. The dominant part of my personality. I don't hate it. I'm not in love with it yet, so I'm just gonna go back with my favorite blender brush. Ooh, that's way too big. Okay. Maybe it was just the right size. Huh. Okay. Hey, that's not looking too bad. Okay. Okay. Oh. Well. Yep. Time to start something new area. I'm going to drive myself up a wall with that. Alright, so 125, yeah, that was where we were at with the white. Let's go back to that. Let's reduce it to, say, 70 something. 74 looks fine. Yes, I'm gonna decrease my flow. That's too much. That's a little better. I think I'm gonna decrease my brush size even down to 50. Let's see what 60 looks like. Nope, 50 something. Okay. 48 it is. Alright. And we're just gonna kind of continue. We don't want to overwhelm with waves. If you look at the ocean, you don't see just straight horizontal, you know, all the way deep into the ocean. You see that it starts breaking up here and there. Waves form and... What? Right. Because if you're close, the closer you are, the larger the wave will seem. The further back you go, you'll start, your eye goes, you'll start seeing how the waves are forming and how they're breaking in different places. How one will start further out and evolve into several smaller ones, or any number of things like that. So you don't want to overwhelm the eye. You just want to give us the impression of some wave, and you want to keep that. Yeah, I'm reminding myself here. Don't get obsessed with any one white line, because all of these are going to go away probably, because we need to focus on the contrast. So we need to add in. We're going to be adding in a lot more harder black to. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll be going back into with darker color to help draw these up into the eye. Also, we have to think about the fact that it is raining. Let's go back and open up those frames I've already closed. Now we can see that I have the wind pushing towards, or the rainfall, therefore the wind, pushing towards the right side of the screen. I think our eye, whether or not we know it, or have just subconsciously embraced the idea, can understand just almost inherently when things don't look right. You're looking at this piece right now. You know something doesn't look quite right. I think a big part of that is the fact that all of the pressure of the air, all of that wind, all of this stormy weather would be pushing a lot of this movement towards the right side of the screen as well. And as you can see with this line here, we're actually kind of more opening it up towards the left side. And that, my friends, is not exactly what I want. I think I want to... Let's see what this does. Alright, so I'm gonna hide my big layer, my top layer. I'm gonna hide this layer. Hide my rain layers actually as well. You know what? Let's do it this way. I'm going to quickly just whip. Nope. Didn't want me to do it. Okay. There we go. Alright, so now the composition has just been flipped. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. Is that not the funniest shit? Does that not look a little bit clearer to you? And why? So even taking this top layer, the ocean layer, let's flip that as well. See how everything in the canvas, it's still, you know, a long ways to go, but everything in the canvas is leading you towards the bottom right corner now. And it's more compelling. I'm looking at it, and I feel more drawn into the piece. And these are just little tricks you can do. If you are, sometimes, especially in digital art, if you're frustrated with a piece, you have so much agency to just make it completely different than where it is. If you're frustrated, there are so many ways that you can use your knowledge of composition, even just like as somebody who likes looking at pretty images. You can use that base of knowledge to change your own work, even if you don't have a language for it, even if you don't you've never been to art school. Shit, I've never taken an art class. Most of all of my art is self-taught, other than acting, which I did the most training, which I've had the most training in. And it was with that training that I have the confidence to tell you that none of that shit matters, man. Especially with acting, man. Oh my god. Talk about the simplest medium of art right there. Anybody can act. Everybody acts. We all act every day. Sometimes it's for survival. Sometimes it's to impress somebody that you like. But it looks a lot different depending on who you are. But everybody is an actor, whether they know it or not, whether they practice. We're all acting every day. And that's not to say that we're not genuine people or we're not being honest with ourselves or others. Like I said, some people do it to survive. There's been... I know plenty of people who have to present themselves in a certain way, or they would have suffered consequence. And for things that are just inherent to who they are as people. It's not right. It's not ideal. But sometimes survival is, not just sometimes, survival is always complicated. And surviving in the society that exists is not always as easy for some as it is for others. So sometimes you need to perform. You need to play a role that you were not given. You were not... is not your natural disposition. I think a really good example of this is there is any number of examples of hip-hop artists who talk about, or people who are who do commentary on the community, where to survive in some environments that are fairly difficult, provide a lot of injustice into people's lives. There is many accounts of people talking about how they would have to put on a persona to get through the day. I grew up in a fairly, as I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Redding, California. It's a very conservative place to and that's just that's putting it lightly. And there were definitely elements of myself that I had to develop as a performance. Being a queer person, being Arab, there were certain people that I didn't want to know in Reading, that I didn't want to know that I was an Arab person in 2000s America while we were at war with not just a nation filled with propaganda against Muslims and Arabs, but in a large sense, in the beginnings of the cultural war that we exist within today, in class war, which is a lot more complicated than we need to go today. I'm more than willing to talk about it, but ultimately I'm just getting at the fact that performance at that point in my life was not just something that I enjoyed. It was something that helped me get by, helped me survive in a world that was not built to be habitable by people like me. And so I'm the last person who's ever going to judge you if that's the position you find yourself in, It is not just justifiable, it is ethically correct. In fact, the people you end up having to perform for, the people that I was didn't deserve that performance. I was much too good for them. And in fact, I often wish that
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Tonight we have a very special act for you. On guitar, Whisk Escobedo.
Well, it goes without saying. I wish that I didn't have to live in a world where I had to
tonight, it's
pretend I was somebody who I was not. I am not.
For us tonight is
because that creates a lot of confusion with your identity. Not just for yourself, but interpersonally. If I, at certain points of my day, was trying to hide the fact that I was queer in a world not very easily inhabitable by queer people, I was also not making it easier for other people. Granted, even given performing social norms, there are certain things that, regardless how inept, regardless how ignorant the people you are defending yourselves from, will pick up on who you really are. In my case, it was more like when I was younger, I played baseball with a lot of the people who would grow to bully me years later. And through playing organized sports with me, they'd, much to my displeasure, picked up on certain traits that I displayed that the other kids didn't. And tell you what, they weren't about to let me forget it. I'm losing my train of thought here, but I think you see where I'm going. Ultimately, I mean, yeah. I think subject matters seeping into this this seascape I'm doing here. Very turbulent sea in front of us. Let's see what this looks like here. Ooh, wait, I have to... Yeah. Nice textured brush. I'm gonna go in real small. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna start a new layer though, because I don't want to interrupt any of this work that I'm probably gonna have to go back into. But I can always merge a layer if I need to. I mean, what I'm thinking is I see something coming out right here. This odd shape, like an island or a rock or something. I spent a lot of time, well, not a ton, but the beaches I'm most familiar with are the beaches around Sonoma County, which have a lot of rocks that are, I mean, just gigantic, that you can see just off the shoreline. They're these, in some cases, like landmark kind of things. Like there's I think it's Goat Rock and things like that that are kind of some of them parts of what Sonoma County's or in Bodega specifically is known for. Hey, thank you. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah. Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, I'm I was just saying, this is coming from feeling, absolutely. In my case as well, my friend. Just chunking in a big rock, and now I'm going around the outline to try and define where the water is going to be meeting it and what that's going to look like. Huh. You know what? That's a big ass rock if it's there. Like, huge. What if we did this? What if we move it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I love this. So we're gonna move this up into the it's going to act as something for the foreground wave to break onto, which will give us a lot of wonderful little poppy colors, like, or pops of white, like this. I'm gonna go back into this a little bit deeper. You can see what I mean. We're gonna have the waves breaking over it. And we're gonna need, what we can do is we can put it under that layer. Yeah, okay. I think we actually want it on top of that because now it's getting lost a bit. But I'm gonna throw a layer over the top of it. We're getting into the layers now, yeah. Getting real deep here. I'm going to use this brush that ultimately gives us these really cool streaky lines, like, give me the lines. Oh, I'm on a transparent brush. Yeah, you see these big streaky lines. I'm going to flip it over to white. I'm going to change up the strength of the paint, whatever, and just kind of start trying to follow that water. follow the shapes I've already given myself here. See what it looks like in a minute. I might not even keep this, but we're gonna see what it looks like. I think it's still a little bit too strong. That's a little better. You know, that's not half bad. I'm gonna grab my blender again. I'm not gonna use my one that's real shapey. I'm gonna use the one that kind of diffuses it. Yeah. We listen to Bob here. Yeah. Get crazy. See how that just really lightly coming over the rock there not only brightens up the rock and provides its own kind of like texture, but it also lets us know where the waves are at. It's still very light, but that is okay. We can always add. And because we're in digital, we can always subtract too, frankly. It's not that hard. But yeah, that's about what we're looking at. That's what we're looking for right there. I almost want to make it more dramatic. Like the waves breaking up and splashing into the air. Yeah, obviously, right? Okay. Let's start doing that. I know we have like background still to work in, but now I am obsessed. And I already told you I'd be back here doing exactly what I'm doing right now. So this should come as no surprise to anyone. I am gonna look around for a funky brush to use. Oh, it's been a minute, Bleeding Color. Hi, I forgot about you. Now that's... Yes. Okay, coarse watercolor. Gonna kill all of this, although I'm pretty sure this brush, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's really... okay. No, that's not what we're looking for. We want... Yes. Sharp. Drama. 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 Let's see. You know what we're gonna do first, because I'm having a hard time placing it off the jump. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Actually, we're gonna go back to salty watercolor, Biggie Big. We're gonna start darkening up this area, because if we're going to start drawing the wave up, we're gonna need that big area of contrast just like earlier. I really like what that's doing to the rock too. It's almost like the rock's disappearing a bit. Let's see. Go back to that brush I was just on. Oh wait, let's follow this. Okay. Yeah. Might be a little big, but we're gonna be okay with that. Make that a little smaller. Brought the rock up a layer so it's not so hidden. Still behind the layer I'm working on. You know what? This part of the wave looks like it's far enough away that we'll get the highlight on top here, but it's gonna dunk down. We might get some spray just over the top. Where's that rock layer? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the speckly brush. Nope, I want to be underneath the rocks. Huh. That is fascinating. Oh, okay, there's so many. Oh, wow. Alright. That's what's going on. Yeah, just splashing up. Let's change the direction there. Oh, I love Fantasia. Alright. Now, if you can see, this is very frustrating to look at. I don't know if you feel the same way. But, that means we are going to try and unify a lot of this that feels so inconsistent with itself. Which means remembering what layers I put everything on. Which, I'll tell you what, sometimes is the biggest challenge in digital art. Remembering what layers you put what on. Oh, jeez, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Tonight we have a very special act for you. On guitar, Whisk Escobedo.
That looks really interesting.
On bass, we have that guy, Casey. On drums tonight, it's Miles.
Duping the rock layer, moving it over just a bit, trying to cover some of those areas that are
It's Moonsick.
bleeding. Not filled enough to provide cover for the bright whites coming through underneath it. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, bud. Alright. I'm loving this. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna do that again, but with black. Let's see how that looks. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm just saying yeah and okay a lot at this point in the drawing. If yeah, that's okay, let me know in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to... Yeah, okay, yeah. Where the... What am I doing? What am I even doing? Yeah, okay, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Boom. Alright, let's give that a little bit of motion. Feeling real sticky. And by that I mean stick-like, I guess. What layer are you on? Little stray of white? Oh, good. I put you on the rock layer because I'm a genius. Alright, we're just gonna make that change real quick. Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah. It luckily has not devolved to oh no yet, but don't put it past me. I surprise even myself some days. What? Oh, Weston. I drive me up a wall, I swear to God. I am the artist that frustrates me the most. Hey, but that doesn't look half bad. See, I just gotta be nice to myself sometimes. Just need to remember how to use layers in a way that isn't going to drive me up a wall. This will become a theme. You will notice through probably all of my streams. Me just abusing myself with layers. Yeah. You know, that looks pretty damn good. It's not, like, done by any stretch, but I'm liking the composition of it. What I am going to change is this line way back here, in the background, this wave. It looks very... No, you know, maybe I don't need to change it. Maybe I just need to see a bit, because that's what's bugging me about it, is it looks very, this weird, like, triangle shape right here. Almost makes me, is like unnatural in a way that doesn't necessarily fit with the rest of the composition. Yeah, that's the layer, okay. Select layer. And drawn. Smart. Yeah, I did like... Thank you. Yeah, that's the ticket, is that finding that balance with the contrast. Oh yeah, Kyle, you're an artist, right? What's your current project? What are you working on? Very cool, very cool. I've got Sam in my ear telling me y'all had classes together, art classes together, so yeah, appreciate you coming by. No pressure to tell us what you've been working on. It's super secret, or even if you're just not in the mood, but I'm curious, just trying to figure out what everybody has been working on artistically, especially at the moment. That's amazing. You have, feel free to drop your links. Feel free. I'm just sitting here drawing and asking you what you've been working on. If you have links to it, I encourage it. It would not be considered rude in this moment. I am asking. Oh, yeah, Sam's saying we might not actually have the alarm. Just tell me where your stuff's at. I'll look into it. I'll look it up. And, yeah. I would love to, kind of like use this space as like a community for other artists. If you have, socials or anything like that you put art on regularly, let me know. I love my fellow artists. I think supporting each other is the only way we make it out of this absolute fucking mess that we all exist in. Yeah, it's really one of the my guiding philosophies is that we're in this together and we're only going to get out of it together. And yeah, it's something that I think is very important to me. Oh yeah, okay. So our fabulous producer has put our disco in the chat. If you are looking for community, looking for other artists to provide feedback or get involved with stuff, we would love to have you. We're always putting out new stuff, and I know we all are all in our own way struggling, starving artists, and yeah, I definitely want to support the comrades. All right, we have a composition. Now what I'm gonna do, smash everything. Other than the rain layers, which I want to keep separate because otherwise I'm gonna start losing. What layer are you? I don't even think I drew on this one. Alright, I'm just gonna say goodbye to you. Okay, these are our top layers, the big rock layer. Those are gonna serve as top. This is our first ocean layer. Keep that there. Where is... Yeah, this was our... No. Oh, that's weird. Oh, right, okay. The top layer, the one that I've been... It's like our... That set up the whole composition. It's like all the way down at the bottom. I was not expecting that. I couldn't tell that it was there because it's virtually all white on that layer. Let's bring it up slowly. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, it's starting to get kind of interesting. That's over the first rock layer, or the second rock layer, the duplicate. That looks really wild. Okay. Not what I'm looking for exactly, though. We're in some pretty interesting territory right around here. Okay, that's back where it was. Yeah, that's probably the best version of it. Okay. Let's keep going. I was merging. Let's do it. I'm going to leave that top rock layer isolated as well. Now we have all of those layers merged. And yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Be brave, be bold. Okay. So we left our rain layer and our rock layer isolated and separate from everything else, but everything else is on the same plane now. I'm gonna start pushing stuff around. You're probably gonna see, but I think I want to try and close this thing up because it is 5:11, and that means I have less than half an hour left to stream. We can see everything is coming towards the right side of the frame now. I'm gonna pick those back up. We can kind of see how these waves form. See this almost vertical line right through the waves, in that way that you will sometimes see waves forming where there's like these what do they call it, the riptide. It's not quite that, but it definitely doesn't feel unnatural. What am I seeing? What am I seeing? What do I want to the most here? I think what I need to do is draw a little more contrast into bottom right side. I'm just going to do that real gentle. You can always put these white flecks back in, so not losing them. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by, Kyle. You take care out there, and yeah, we'll find each other on social media. You take care. Yeah, okay, I like that. You can kind of see the curve of the wave. I'm gonna try and play into that even more. Well, just a little too much. I want it to be real. A little smaller. A little bigger. Now you start seeing the waves kind of take on some form. Take on some shape. Yes, okay. I'm loving this. I want to draw that contrast right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Tonight we lift that wave up. Yes.
On guitar, Whisk Escobedo.
Did our big
on
chunk.
bass, we have that guy Casey. On drums tonight, it's Miles.
That looks pretty good. Okay.
And singing for us tonight
down a
is
bit.
Troshawn.
I want to go back to the black.
It's music.
This wave, you can kind of see it coming at this odd. Oh, let's go smaller and maybe a little bit more. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. You see that? Yes. Now the wave is telling us where to go. Yeah. I love it. Okay. Yeah, and you know what's interesting? I was talking about kind of, geez, I talk about it practically every episode we've done of this, where art is about telling your audience, telling the viewer who you are, and what's interesting, you look at this composition, I do feel like there are elements of me that are definitely in play. A part of me that loves adventure, a part of me that doesn't like the rain, part of me that, I feel like, even adding my own interpretation to doesn't tell us everything. It doesn't tell you everything, especially as an audience. For that, you have to start drawing your own interpretations, your own opinions, and that's where art is really effective as a communication tool. Not just allowing me to dictate what my art says to you, but you being allowed to make your own conclusion, draw your own conclusions. I keep making bad drawing puns. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I keep making these really terrible drawing puns. I'm very sorry. But point is that you're allowed to, and I think it's part of what makes the process, not just the process, it's what makes art valuable in our society, is being able to think creatively, being allowed to, being asked to, even by people who make art. You as an audience, I mean, as an audience member myself, I really love the films of David Lynch, because what Lynch has always done, what Lynch is incredible at, is not telling us how to interpret his film. David Lynch has typically gone out of his way to make his at least somewhat obscure. They're fairly avant-garde. They tend to lack a linear narrative. David Lynch employs many tricks of the trade that make us feel sometimes, well, make us feel, in fact, that is truly what is one of the most defining things about David Lynch, is that in any scene you could feel any number of things about what you see going on. I think a great example of this is the wonderful and very well-known Mulholland Drive. So you may have seen this film yourself, and you may have been confused by it, because it's definitely one of David's most confusing pieces, and left many at the time that it was released quite puzzled with it as well. And of course, over time, many people have come to their own conclusions and put out their own interpretation of Lynch's work, as video essays and, I mean, written essays. Geez, there's no shortage of a scholarly approach to the understanding of David Lynch, his work, and himself as an artist. And those are not the only valid interpretations. And that is, I think, and that only says that we are only going to probably, in the years to come, see more and more interpretations of Lynch's work, especially because he only seems to become more relevant as time goes on. His work seems to resonate even more, and I think that comes from changing cultural norms, interest in like what an audience wants at this point, and by and large the industry not necessarily really having an idea of what that even looks like anymore, and kind of in most cases being quite out of touch. And that's where David Lynch stays relevant, because there's no way to be out of touch when you're allowed your own interpretation of it, when that becomes central to the understanding of the work. Anyway, I'm getting pretty damn close here. I just want to hit this big wave a little bit harder with some white, draw up that contrast. Bring in like this big highlight here. We can kind of see, okay, and then I'm going to go back in black, draw that up into the big, with a wavewood concave. And pull back. Now, I don't think it's finished, my friends, but that looks pretty fucking cool. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend swimming in it, but I also wouldn't recommend swimming in your frustration, in your anger, in your negative emotions, or the emotions that draw energy out of you without giving you anything back. And instead, to express them in this way or in any other way that makes you feel freed, released from that pain, from that difficulty, from this moment. But for me, I think I'm gonna say bon voyage, bon nuit, and bonbons to all of you out there who've taken your time out of incredibly busy days to be here with me as I make some art. I am Weston Lee Ball. You can find my work at Lava Submersible on Instagram or TikTok. I recommend showing up tomorrow for Sam's stream, world building. Definitely check out our Ignore the Bird this week. We have Alan Barney as our special guest, TTRPG legend, somebody we have an immense amount of respect and appreciation for the source book that he wrote, the majority of, and for our Willow podcast. And yeah, I'm sorry? Oh, yes, and please give us a follow on Twitch if you enjoy what we are doing here today. If you want to stay informed what we are going to, all of the wonderful content we have on the channel, give us a follow here on YouTube, on Instagram, all over social media. You can find Nerdcrafty and our content, and we would really appreciate you giving us a chance. We're making some pretty cool stuff, and we only have more great stuff on. So I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And take care, friend. You have a good one. And that goes for all of you. You all take care out there. It's a crazy mixed up world, and we're only going to get out of it together.